Alfred, the Chief Technical Advisor in charge of transport in the Ministry of Infrastructure, to kindly step forward. Can you give him a round of? We also have another guest speaker, Mrs. Akimana Audrey, MD for Prime International Career Limited. Please. We also have the current president of CLT Rwanda, Dr. Mugabo Patrick. Please. I won't say anything about today's topic. Even my introduction of the panelists was that brief, just to allow them have seats. The rest about the introduction will be now in the hands of our today's moderator. Let's welcome ourselves in this room. We feel at home, at ease, and again in the mood of today's discussion. We want an interactive session where ideas shared from the front will be debated on and have reflections from the audience. So everyone feel free to express, to ask any question and contribute to the discussions. Over to you, Miss Melody. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gilbert. A very good evening to everyone in the room. So I'm going to ask each one to briefly in 2 minutes, just tell us who you are, what you do, and what makes you passionate about supply chain.
Thank you, Melody. My name is Audrey Akimana. I'm the Managing Director of Prime International Carriers. Prime International Carriers is a freight forwarding company. It started its operations in 2016. It's a Rwandan-based company, and we have extended our branches in different countries as well in the region, even beyond. I think we'll come back to that later. So what inspired us to join the supply chain and logistics? First and foremost, I developed my passion when I was working for a shipping line. I started back I worked with Maersk Line even from the early years when I was just graduating my bachelor degree. So later I worked for Maersk and I found it interesting, and that's my background briefly. The rest is history. Thank you.
Alfred Byiringiro, Chief Technical Advisor in charge of transport in the Ministry of Infrastructure, the Republic of Rwanda. As you might know, the Ministry of Infrastructure deals with different sectors, including transport. Transport, which also includes infrastructure development and also services. It might be different from other countries where you say transport, they understand services. But for our ministry, which handles also different sectors, when you talk about transport, you also consider infrastructure development. We also deal with energy, water, and sanitation, as well as housing. You can see that those are key subsectors which are very, very important to logistics and transport. So my passion is to contribute to smooth movement of goods and people, to connect people from the globe. That's my passion. That's why when you see even what we do at the ministry, we work on legislation, policies, but also we do infrastructure development. So I forgot to say that I'm a civil engineer. That is my academic background. I'm a civil engineer. But since I joined the Ministry of Infrastructure in 2017, I'm now really becoming, let's say, a transport engineer. Of course, this being civil engineer and transport engineer, they're not, let's say, there is no big difference. But currently, I'm really passionate in providing that infrastructure, be physical as well as safety, to ensure smooth movement of goods and people. Thank you.
Mwiriwe neza. Nitwa Mugabo Patrick. Nkaba ndi president wa CILT. Nkaba nanahagariye ikigo cyitwa Zaria Group. My education background needs supply chain. It's not only my passion, nichonzi. That's the only thing I believe. Chora kubanzi kandi nkunda. Ni nacyo nkoramo, nicyo mbamo umunsi ku wundi. My dream nuko twubaka sector yacu in a professional manner. Abenshi muri twebwe muri sector yacu turi self-made man, abenshi twigira ku kazi, ariko in my belief nuko igihe kigeze kugira ngo tube professional, tubashe no gukompetinga ku isoko mpuzamahanga, no gukatching up kuri vision y'igihugu. So my dream nuko kuzabibona biba no kugira professional sector competing ku isi muri rusange. Murakoze.
So some of you might be asking yourselves, why these three? So today we want this discussion to bring a better understanding for someone who's looking to grow their supply chain career, one from the policy making level to the private sector level. What are the bottlenecks? What are the opportunities? What is our government doing about it? And now also, how do we bridge that gap, the educational gap? So I'm going to start with Mr. Alfred. What are the key government policies currently that are being put in place or developed to have skilled workmanship that can actually support or service the national strategy for transportation? Because we have new innovations like the cable cars, we have new chains of transport. What is the government doing so that we actually have skilled labor to service all this development? Thank you.
Thank you so much, moderator. As we all understand, logistics and transport requires a wide range of stakeholders. One of the stakeholders is also the Ministry of Infrastructure. Working for the government in the Ministry of Infrastructure, I'm also aware of what other institutions, stakeholders are doing. To respond to your question, I can start maybe with education, even if it's not about the Ministry of Infrastructure. But we, as I said, we also handle the housing. The housing, the Ministry of Infrastructure handles the 4 sectors: transport, housing, water and sanitation, and energy. One of the key policy to foster skills in logistics and transport is to invest in technology. All of us, when you don't have efficiency, so whatever you will do, you will be losing. And to have, let's say, to have efficiency in whatever you're doing in logistics and transport, you require a lot of skills, but also infrastructure. One of the infrastructure that is needed is ICT. I will give an example. Before having, let's say, enough IT infrastructure, you could see that leaving airport, Dar es Salaam airport to Kigali, it would take even seven days. Clearing also will become an issue. So since Rwanda invested in ICT, you can see now the clearing, transportation. You go there till Sumo, you just spend few hours. While before, you could go when you are working on using papers, you will spend like 3 days, 4 days queuing, waiting for clearance on papers. So what the government is doing is to ensure that people are equipped enough with ICT knowledge. That's why the government of Rwanda is investing a lot in education, from primary to secondary and universities. You can see how nowadays, due to the enabling environment, good environment, many international universities are establishing their campuses here. I can cite many which are here. For instance, the Carnegie Mellon University. I don't know if maybe you have ever met someone who they graduated from that university. They are having very good skills. At our ministry, they're even helping us to develop some more programs. Just people who are there. Not maybe only focusing on international universities. When you look at the Coding Academy, those young people who are graduating from just the level of secondary school, they're developing programs that can be used in logistics, that can be used in transport. So, to be brief, apart from putting in place policies that facilitate the penetration of international university to our education in Rwanda for skills development, Rwanda also is investing a lot in infrastructure. To ensure that the movement of goods and people is smooth. So, but as you know, also currently the world is facing an issue of let's say climate change. So, what the government is doing in terms of infrastructure is to ensure sustainable infrastructure, resilient infrastructure to climate change. To ensure whenever you put in place infrastructure, there will be no disruption of movement of people and goods. So, to be brief, to improve efficiency, we need skills. That's why government is investing a lot in education, but also infrastructure, be physical and soft infrastructure, to ensure those skills can be easily applied in transport and logistics. Thank you.
Thank you for enlightening us. I'll come to you, Audrey. From a practical point of view, are these developments actually helping in the industry? And what are some of the practical skills or soft skills that are just as important as technical skills that you think are lacking or that are actually needed to be able to thrive in the industry? Basically different from, it doesn't need to be that I drive a truck or anything. What soft skill do I need that's just as important as a truck driver?
To answer to your question is most of the soft skills that at least we are looking for in, let's start from drivers as you mentioned. First of all, one of the things that we are lacking, of course, and something that we are facing in the industry, starting from the drivers, because it's an example you set up. It's one of the examples, because when you talk about logistics or transportation, yes, of course, it's a wide industry. But again, starting from drivers, one of the skills that we lack, of course, is the experience and exposure. And then again, in most cases, I'm starting to think because we face a lot with drivers. Drivers have a limited exposure, which sometimes, as most people who are involved in transportation, we are hiring, but based on experience. But we seem not to have really well experienced drivers in Rwanda, which in the last few years it was obvious, because most of the time you find that we were hiring people from the region, Kenyans, Tanzanians, people from Burundi, just because they have had this exposure, and of course, because of those long routes that we don't feel comfortable to use such drivers who are not so much exposed. But we've seen a significant change. We are seeing Rwandans are really adapting to the they're engaged and they want to learn as well, and they want to take the risk, because most of these wrong routes that they're exposed to, there are risks involved. So we are seeing some really significant change. On how the government has assisted, of course, we have seen there are so many technical schools which are opening, and which is, of course, they are facilitating, and the part of mechanical, and of course we know that those trucks need maintenance. They need we needed technicians, which we have seen that the government really had invested a lot in opening up those technical schools, which are helping a lot, and the same as the driving schools for these, especially because in the transportation, we know that, especially when it comes to cross-border, we use these big trailers, trucks, and tractors, which, of course, there was a significant gap in sourcing Rwandan drivers who could, of course, transport those vehicles. Again, to answer again to your question about maybe soft skills that we are looking for, most importantly is we have to expose them to the industry. Of course, some of the skills that we have to look into is to at least having a problem solving or to analyze data or situations, because in logistics it's more about we're always exposed to different changes and regulatory changes in terms of customs. We have to have people who are able to quickly adapt to the changes. And again, in our industry, we are mostly, facing different scenarios, such as congestions at port and shipping lines having to change some of certain processes. So mostly, we need people who are able or capable of analyzing a data or situation at a time and be able to solve, because it requires that you adapt to challenges and problem solving. We adapt to problem solving, because how the supply chain is built is that every shipment or every cargo that you handle all along the way, it has its own challenge. So it's more of problem solving, and of course you have to expose them or train them, or you have to equip them at least with some knowledge based on the training that you do on a daily basis. So we mentor them, of course. I'm giving an example at least on how Prime grew from really few employees to now is not less than 50 staff. Is that it's more about mentorship, and you know, we debate, we always challenging one another, which had helped again to strive or to thrive in this market. Thank you.
Audrey, I like that you brought up the mentorship part. There's something that baffles me about most logistics companies in Rwanda. And the sustainability of these companies is a bit challenging. Why? Because you have technical people who are doing, let's say, the clearance, who are handling the transporters, but for some reason, as a client, I cannot reach out and get a solution or an answer to why there's a delay. And then I typically know, or as an MD, you're not handling the issue, but I have to call you to ask you what is happening. Today I had a scenario that I'll just give you an example of. We had containers that needed to move. I get a call that the entries are not passing on your TIN number. I'm like, why? Is it a system problem? What is the challenge? Are there any penalties? No, you have to go to Rwanda Revenue. And guess what? I had to call the MD who's not even in the country, only to get the answer that it's a small issue, that they've written an email and it has already been solved. But the person who's actually on ground handling it didn't have the knowledge of how to explain to me as a client that I have your high value cargo, but there's this challenge. The only answer was, you need to go to Rwanda Revenue. Yes, I get it, I need to go to Rwanda Revenue. What is the challenge? What do I ask them for? So how is Prime Carriers now closing the gap between, I'm sorry to use this, but it's literally night and day between the people running the companies and their staff. And then you find if this person is out, if I know Audrey is going to travel for 2 months, I'm actually scared to give Prime Carriers any work because I'm not sure how my work is going to be handled when she's not around. And yet technically you're not doing this work. You're only managing me and the operators. So how is Prime Carriers closing that gap?
I will speak from my experience and what Prime is doing, at least to make sure that we close that gap between, of course, the head of the company and how we are serving our customers, and of course involving those on the ground, to attend customers. One of the things is, of course, one of the skills I think we're trying to look at why hiring, of course, is at least having a little knowledge on the cloud base, because I'm talking about this because we need to move from you having to call me and they ask me what is happening. So how we're trying to close the gap is we have to interact, or we have to engage customers mostly on regular updates, and we do that using emails, of course. So the mentorship how we're trying to mentor or to expose young or junior staff at least to handle different accounts and be accountable, or being able to attend the customer without me being, in fact, it has been quite a big challenge, because in this same industry, that's how most companies, or what we call clients, are used to. I call the MD and you have to give me the answer, despite that he can see that, he knows that I'm not the one on the ground. So how we're trying to close the gap is we try at least to maintain that communication using email, and being able to communicate to customers before they ask, or before they even, they ask you updates, you have to send out updates. From my experience and those whom we work together, it was mostly to train our staff to be able to communicate. Those, of course, we've had challenges as well or working with people who have been in the same industry. For example, those mostly involved in handling the documentation or custom documentation. They're most of the time threatened or even unable to face a customs officer and ask this, what's the problem and how are you planning to, how can you assist to solve this matter? And whatever we are trying to do is just to be able to kind of build confidence, because at the end of the day, you cannot always call a customer that to come and be on the ground while you are trying to face the customs officer who's in a position to solve the matter. It has been that we have that kind of understanding that once a client is present, maybe an issue will be resolved, especially in the same area in the institution, which is of course RRIA or even different offices. We are talking about RRA here in Rwanda, but can even happen even in their offices abroad, which is at ports mostly. So I do think that it's up to us as the people who've grown from, or operators and grew to this level, just to make sure that at least we are there we are there for them to show, to guide them on communication, of course, and transparency with the clients, and at the same time, making sure that there will be a time where at least whoever is handling an account can engage a client directly. Thank you.
Patrick, so we're looking how to bridge the gap between academia and the industry. As a doctor of supply chain, what are most of the skills you find missing among the students that we're graduating off from university? And what is CILT doing to bridge the gap? How do I know what I'm going to gain from CILT if you're not going to give me another 400 pages to read that really do not apply to the market where I am? How is that being solved?
I think the other members of the panel have highlighted most challenges that we are facing today. Today we are actually lucky because we have now graduates. We have people who are actually graduating from our universities and who have had the opportunity to study different courses related to supply chain. So that's on its own, it's a huge step. I'm talking about this because back in 2011, I had a discussion with one of my parents' friends, and then he was like, Nikosha, so I told him I did logistics. And he's like, really? Wagiye mwishuri kwiga logistics, ibyo se barabyiga. So, and iwanyu bakaba batanga ayo mafaranga yose kugira ngo ujye kwiga ibyo bintu hanze. Uzabona ko kazi uzakuraho akazi. So, back in the days, umuntu wabaga ashinzwe logistique, umuntu muri za ministeri yabaga akora stock, ufite agastock gato, cyangwa ari sharwa managing imodoka, and then very few people za Gikondo, ufite clearing agent, ntago abantu bane babibonaga karakazi. So it's amazing to see actually our own universities now having students who are graduating who are actually there to follow the logistics as a career. So this on its own, it's something already amazing, but even our current graduates, when they come out, they really have this strong theory. They have received the theory, the content, but they tend to lack what I call practical skills and the soft skills like Audrey mentioned earlier on, which are very also crucial to our sector, because we need graduates who can actually negotiate, who can actually communicate, which is one of the challenges that she highlighted. So what CILT is doing, we're trying to reduce that gap by providing industry-led trainings, internship, as well as mentorship, to make sure that at least our graduates are job ready from day one. Today CILT is trying to partner with Kepler, for example. We're working with IPRC. We're discussing with UR. We are almost at the final stages with University of Kigali. All of this just to make sure that we actually produce students who are ready to hit the floor running and actually to be able to deliver. Today, Value Training Center is the only training center that is providing and delivering CILT content, courses, and so on. We'll probably have an opportunity to discuss that. But yes, we have made huge progress in the sector, but we have a very long way to go. I want to touch on something that my colleagues highlighted. Audrey mentioned something about the drivers. So we really have self-made people out there in our sector. But the difference between a self-made person and a professional, a self-made yiga agezeho kazi, and then niba yize gukiriyaringa muri customs, and that's it. That's what he does, that's what she does. If you want her to move a bit 2 centimeters on the left, she won't. And there's also this issue of amategeko. This is what itegeko rya Rwanda Revenue cyangwa rya leta rivuga. Kandi itegeko burya rimeze nka Bibiliya. Abantu baryinterpreting uko bashaka. So while a professional person is actually solution oriented, so you actually think out of the box. You dare to innovate. You dare to change and improve the status quo. So, and this is really what we need to focus on. Even the current professional companies that we're seeing growing today, when you ask them, when they sit down and they do the year budget, there's no capacity building in their budget, because even the current leadership of these companies, they don't believe that they need skills. They think, okay, I've recruited a guy who used to clear in this clearing agency and so on, so he will do the job. And then I will hire Audrey, who's a professional, who has been in these international companies to run the business. But Audrey is not going to run the business herself. She needs other professionals in different departments to be able to move and to compete internationally. So I look at it, there's still a huge gap, and that's what CILT is trying to actually reduce and mitigate. Audrey mentioned about drivers. In most companies, and even the driver themselves, they think their job is to drive. But when you think in terms of supply chain, their job is not only to drive. So, because they do more than driving. They not only they need to be professional, I mean, some of them don't even know how to read, which is an issue. He probably is good in terms of driving, but they don't know, for example, how to read. But you trust them with your delivery note. You trust them to sign a document at some point. So, you know, if he signs a delivery with the drugs description at some point, then the entire company is at risk. Some of even our drivers, they actually dare to reach out to the customers. They share unnecessary information, even wrong information, and so on and so on. And this is actually the responsibility of the companies to make sure that our drivers do more than driving, that our drivers are well equipped, and they have these professional skills in their area, because they are also part of something bigger. They are also part of the entire chain. So I think the most important thing is to make sure that our people understand that they are part of something bigger. They are part of the entire chain, not only in charge of clearing, driving, all these specific responsibilities in the entire chain. So at CLT, we really want to bridge that gap and make sure that our sector drives in the professional direction. Thank you.
Mr. Alfred, we tend to know that the Ministry of Infrastructure usually plans most of the major projects in the country. So in regards to supply chain, we've heard of a railway link that we're yet to see how that goes. We've heard of the cable cars. We've heard of new roads being made, of which we actually see being done every single day. When you look at the future of the ministry, of the government, and of the people in general of Rwanda, what skills do you think are going to be in high demand in the logistics area?
As my colleague said, we need also to invest also in ICT, in technologies, because as the let's say, as the volume of cargo and passenger increases, we need also some more Internet of Things to improve efficiency. Otherwise, I remember I used to follow the ranking of airport. I had the chance to use the Singapore airport, where really you don't interact with people. You go there with your passport, you just swipe. You don't need anyone to help you. You just pass. When it comes to clearing, the luggage clearing, I remember when I reached the airport, when I was exiting, I asked, "Why have to pass by migration?" They told me, "No, there is no need of migration." So that is efficiency. So as we also invest in infrastructure, as we invest in cargo handling, professionals, engineers, and so on, we need also to invest in ICT. When it comes to rail, as you might know, we have already secured the corridors for railway. We're just waiting for our neighboring countries just to reach our borders. We're working together to mobilize funds together so that they can reach our border. Then we extend the border. We extend the railway to Kigali. We've also the plan also to expand it to our neighbors like DRC and so on. So for railway, apart from the engineers capable of constructing and also maintaining the infrastructure, the railway infrastructure, we need also the skills for rolling stock management. We can have a good infrastructure, but when you don't have, let's say, professionals for proper rolling stock management, the infrastructure will remain idle or even not be utilized adequately. This is just about transport, roads. When it comes to roads, of course, you can construct roads, but as you construct roads, you're also encouraging people to buy vehicles. I want to mention maybe an example where countries, when you go to USA, you see how people are using road infrastructure is different from, let's say, when you go to South Korea, when you go to Singapore. For information, Singapore, they've got a limited number of vehicles. To own a vehicle is a very big issue. You have to apply. They check if there is a slot to give you right to own a vehicle. So what they do, they try to invest in infrastructure to ensure people can move. There is, let's say, affordable, let's say, ways of moving using good buses, metro, underground infrastructure to move, let's say, for mass transport. So what I want to mention here is that we need also to invest, we need skills in road traffic management so that when people want to use our network, so they have all information. We have to invest in the ICT. We always need the ICT skills so that if I'm leaving, for instance, New Chiga International Airport, I want to reach Marriott, I want to reach KCC, I'm aware where I can pass. I'm already informed from the origin where I can pass. So investing in traffic management skills is also very, very important. So let me go also to real estate. Look at how this Zaria Court is. Do we have skills to manage this facility enough? You might see that let's say most of the real estates are managed by foreigners. We need also to invest in real estate management. We need those skills so that people who are coming here, they are facilitated enough to these facilities we are putting in place. So even if it's housing, it is linked with logistics and transport. When you don't have, let's say, a proper traffic management, people will be stuck. Even if you have roads, you have whatever needed, but there is no efficiency. So that will be a problem. Cable car. We think that with our land, as you might know, we are among the most populated countries. So we need to use our land, let's say, in a proper way. That's why we thought also to have, let's say, intermodal transport. We need also to explore, let's say, different ways of moving people and cargo. That's why we're also exploring the cable car, also exploring the urban light rail. We're conducting a feasibility study. The cable car we have completed the feasibility study. So for the cable car, it's like aviation. You need to show that it's safe. So we're now lacking you always see, even when you are painting our roads, we don't have professionals in road safety when it comes to infrastructure, road marking, but most importantly, in aviation, in cable car aviation, we need a lot of knowledge when it comes to safety. Because it's not like you just learn as you drive. Once you're driving on a road, you can learn while driving. But when you are in aviation, you need to come after you are equipped enough with those skills. Cable car also, when there is an incident, be in a cable car or also aviation, it's not like in a road. When maybe there is a road crash, people can stop and do everything. But when it's a crash, the instant in a cable car, in aviation, it's another story. So safety also professionals, we need we're also developing ports. Ports, let's say, on Lake Kivu, but also want also to develop, let's say, water transport skills on our water bodies in the country. We have a lot of water bodies. So we need also skills in water transport. Seafarers, we are not touching the ocean, but let me give you an example. Ethiopia is a landlocked countries, but they have ships. But here, we think we are a landlocked country. We don't even develop the seafarers, people who can handle, let's say, ships and so on. While we can develop those skills here and export to countries which are, let's say, the coastal countries. There are a lot of countries in Asia which developed these skills in water transport. They are exporting these skills. So as that, once we have those skills in water transport. We can maybe first of all certify our, let's say, inland transport on Lake Kivu and as well as other water bodies. But we can also export those skills in other countries, DRC, Burundi, everywhere. So we need a lot of skills going forward to be able to handle the infrastructure we're putting in place. The real estates we're developing, the air transport infrastructure, water transport infrastructure, and so on. Those are some of them, but there is a plenty of skills that are needed. But knowing to improve efficiency, we need to invest in Internet of Things, in ICT. That is very important to be able to manage our infrastructure we're putting in place. Thank you.
Audrey, Mr. Alfred has told us everything the government is doing for us. From a private perspective, what tools are you using now? Are you actually using technology beyond emails and in your day-to-day work, from data analytics? How are you bridging the gap? What skills are you looking for in IT, really to leverage on for more effective operation? And based on what he has told us, as someone already in the market, are you already manning up for these new developments, or are you yet to get there?
Yes, of course. In our industry, we have to adapt to technology and creating systems as well that will help us monitor or follow up on our work. Of course, most importantly, we have at least developed systems, at least internally, and we are trying to catch up and learning from, of course, the best in the industry. Some of those systems that we are using, the transport management systems. Of course, it helps us in the real tracking of our trucks and at least to be able to monitor and follow up on the whereabouts of the cargo, and be able as well to anticipate or at least inform our customers in real time where their cargo is, the whereabouts of their cargo. And as of course, those systems are adapting, or they are being developed just to match at least the demand or the needs on the market. And it's another advantage that we have in Rwanda as well, that they're investing in ICT and making sure that at least we are facilitated in adapting to the new technology, and making sure that at least even the people or involved, or as my colleague said, the fresh graduates who are now are engaging or going to learn about logistics and supply chain. They as well are at least picking up some skills in our at least in our data analysis, and again knowing how to at least use to adapt to the systems and that are already implemented. So one of our system that we're using internally as Prime is a TMS, and of course we are trying as well to. One of the challenges we mentioned earlier was about drivers, and as Mr. Patrick mentioned, some of them they have issues of some have never been able to go to school, but again at this time around we've seen a big change at least in using data or mobile phones and making sure at least even if they're unable to communicate and using other means, but on the phones, their phones, and we equip them at least with the necessary resources just to make sure that at least they can be able to communicate using, of course, mobile phones most of the times. Another thing, of course, each company has their internal system that at least that assist them to be able to consolidate their work. And some of them, of course, as we said, it requires just that mentorship and making sure that at least we equip them at least with the best, at least the soft skills that are required mostly is just to understand the industry, expose them to those challenges or daily challenges. I believe so far that's at least that we are trying to adapt to the new technologies which are being introduced, especially even while connecting with other global freight forwarders in the world. Something that as well we have invested in as a prime international carriers to reach out to those global networking. To reach out to those global freight forwarders and network, and of course channeling information and problem solving as well skills on different matters. Because as we know, logistics, we are here, but we're mostly shipping goods or handling goods. We are crossing borders who go to other continents. So the regulations from the origin are different from destinations. But since if we are working with the customers who entrust you with the goods to say, okay, you have to ship my goods up to China, you have to learn and adapt to systems, from each country where the goods at least are going to go through, or the corridors, especially since Rwanda is a landlocked country, we are facing different challenges along the way, including, of course, delays and sometimes systems which are different. So we learn from the experience and the exposure, at least to interact with different forwarders around the globe. Mostly that's how we're adapting.
I like that you bring up the point of being a landlocked country and its challenges. Are your staff trained in risk management? Are they trained in handling these different hurdles? How do they manage from infrastructural issues to delays, border delays that really cannot, and long transit times? How are they handling this? Are they trained for it? Are they exposed to how they can handle it? Because typically handling shipments when you're at sea is very different from a landlocked country. And how are they being exposed to risk management? Especially this would now come to perishables or high-end value, literally where you're crossing your fingers till it gets to destination. How is this being handled?
Oh, thanks. We are training our staff in regards to risk management. And since you brought up one of the challenges of course, delays in transit, we have, of course, we have to have a system in place or making sure that at least our team are working, they're trained on the risk management and of course problem solving, because along the way there are challenges which are most of the time beyond our control. We have to rely on different institutions such as customs. Definitely, of course, there could be other infrastructure, issues, but mostly starting from the point of land, at least transport, the means of land transport, we have a team. We try to train teams to make sure that as we are monitoring our goods in transit, if there is any challenge, we have options of either rerouting the cargo, and if, for example, Rwanda is using mostly the Dar es Salaam port and the Mombasa port. So, and in case there are challenges, we have to, of course, opt the other means of at least getting the goods where they're supposed to be, whether you have to reroute, but of course still under, have to monitor them. And most of the times those delays come from congestions at the port, which is at this moment is out of our control. We have to rely on the operations of the ports, and there is not much we can say. But again, we have to always engage the decision makers, and something as well we appreciate from the government of Rwanda, how they have at least managed to operate as single territory system, and making sure that at least the ports that are near, we have KPA offices here, we have TPA offices here. That has slowly helped at least to reach out or to escalate some of the challenges, such as congestion, as we are saying, at port, which of course affects the cargo movement. And then again, as a landlocked country, we are using equipment which, no matter whatever circumstances, they will incur some unnecessary charges, and we are liable, client also as well, that are affected. So definitely we are engaging, and it's always, we have to keep escalating the matters to those who can assist. We are lucky that the minister is around, and those are some of the challenges that we are facing. We are unable to reach out to those who can really facilitate in such kind of cases. But of course, our main job is to make sure that at least we deliver the cargo safely and within the time frame set, of course, because we have to. We are working in the interest of our customers. But of course, those are some of the challenges, and we're thriving in our markets to make sure that at least some of those challenges are addressed, and we are trying to make sure that at least not only we are setting foot, in those, in the new industry where Rwanda used to be on a small scale in the region because of course, the geopolitical infrastructure. Those are things that we're trying at least to address. And other challenges, most importantly, is of course political conflict, which as well affects our the logistic industry, and Rwanda as a landlocked country. So we've had some certain challenges. So mostly you try to escalate, and you work with institutions which are at least equipped to assist. But we have, of course, a team as well that, as you said, self-made. We are learning from the experience that we go through on a daily basis. Thank you.
Patrick, after Alfred and Audrey, it brings me to a question for you. We now have an insight on what the future of transport is going to look like, at least what the government strategy is or what they're looking for. beyond the foundational courses or traditional courses, what other courses as CILT are you planning to give? Especially, Mr. Alfred insisted a lot on ICT. With ICT, I'll ask, what digital literacy courses are you providing? Data analytics. In this day and age, ESG is very important. So is there any ESG training in regards to supply chain and logistics? Basically, what courses are you providing that actually can serve within the market of today and the future?
Thank you, Melody. Maybe actually before I answer the question, there's I think myself and other few people, we want to challenge the status quo. So Rwanda is no longer a landlocked country. We are actually a land-linked country. So because we have corridors, those corridors were created to actually link us. So it's very important that us professionals and specialists who are in the room, that at least we are advocate for that. And that's something also to celebrate because it's an achievement. So at CILT, we definitely move with global trends. Earlier on, I mentioned that we focus on the practical side of learning. So we focus on what we call employability. We need to make sure that when one of our graduates meets Audrey for an interview, she immediately sees a solution and value immediately from that candidate. Because that will be someone who already has knowledge, but who will be able also to put that knowledge into practice immediately. So what we do, first of all, we make sure that we use practical examples. We make sure that we allow our students to practice what they have learned. They see it happening. We use our own our own realities on the ground. And we are making sure that our current contents now are technological driven. So we make sure that the current trends of technology, our students receive that so that they can compete on the international level. So we are lucky we have one of our education director in the audience. I think he might have a minute or two to actually explain what they are currently delivering today at Value Training Center as far as CILT content is concerned. So we're making sure that our content delivers these analytical skills as well as the technological tools that our students need today. So we really focus on the practicability of our sector, and we want to make sure that all our graduates are ready, are job ready from day one. So there are different programs, different software that they will be learning to make sure that they add value and also they innovate as soon as they start working. So yeah, thank you.
I'll open the floor to the audience for Q&A. If there's any questions to the panelists, please feel free to raise your hand and someone will make sure a microphone gets to you.
Thank you very much. Good evening. I'm by names of Regina Thomas. I'm from Rwanda. I've been in the cargo department for 10 years. Did with sales, operations, planning and pricing. So currently I'm in quality assurance. So thank you very much for the forum. I'll take my question to our minister. So you're talking about ICT. So in transport and supply chain, that challenges we're having today is that our world is growing in terms of e-commerce. So now we still lack a platform whereby we can be able to consolidate freight forwarders, clients, and also the Rwanda Revenue Authority, whereby if someone can be able to purchase anything worldwide, can be able to have it through our platform, and also solution in terms of supply chain. So that means in terms of consolidation, it is difficult for me as a person to buy something online and then I ship it up to Kigali. But if you have a platform whereby we can have a consolidation, it means that people can buy it at a cheaper price. At the same time, full utilization of containers, easy clearance, and also in terms of cheap insurance. Because if people are consolidating one container on one insurance, it is cheaper than one individual having the whole burden, the same as utilization. Our freight forwarders are here, will be able to understand much better. So that platform can be able to put things together and be able to have, for example, if it is air transport, requires to use courier. If it is water transport and road transport, you can be able to have a platform that the container is about to be filled. So someone can buy it all, or someone can come and also purchase a space on that. So I've been in system administrator for Rwandia Cargo, and I've managed to see how interlinking systems can be. So you can be able to link all those companies, airlines, freight forwarders into one system, and clearance with Rwanda Revenue Authority. Just one platform that can be developed, and then we can be able to improve in terms of consolidation. Yeah. Secondly, you said about water transport. So water transport, I'm emerging into water maritime because of my brother. I have my brother in Mombasa as a captain, because we are born in Kenya, so for him we continue with the maritime, and that's where he's practicing. So the issue that we're having with water transport, as per the road transport is already congested. You can see the type of jams and issues we are having. So the water transport, to venture into water transport, we still have issues in terms of infrastructure. So that one, it is, for example, the nautical control. We don't have nautical control in terms like air traffic controller. The way you can be able to control boats on road is still a problem. We don't have any formal risk assessment in terms of how deep the water or size of the water and which type of boats can be there. Thirdly, we're still lacking roads, interlinking roads. That means if you are to move from here and connect into water transport, which road can be able to interlink cities with that water. Another one, it's about the terminals in terms of cargo and passengers. So we don't have any centralized that people can be able to come together. Lastly, it's about trained staff, because in Rwanda we don't have any maritime schools. So it is very difficult, for example, an investor to come in and say that I'm bringing in a boat. Where am I going to get the staffing? Who is going to be driving these boats? Maintenance. How am I going to buy these boats? All those are the things that we don't currently have. Same with the safety and security, because in case anything goes down, there is no any emergency response. That means people can be able to die. So it becomes a bit tricky to venture into water transport. So if these things can be able to be solved, then we can be able to manage to do it. As we have explained, in terms of having our own boats, we're in Great Lake region. Great Lake region means we have Lake Victoria, we have Lake Kivu, we have Lake Tanganyika. So if we can be able to have affairs with some of the countries like China, they can be able to come up with a plant of a boat in Rwanda, because the market are there. We almost have 7 lakes in Rwanda. We have neighbors like Victoria, we have Lake Tanganyika. So the market is there, they can venture into that, and then we can be able to move on. So those are my concerns that I wanted to address to you.
Thank you. My name is Jean-Claude Ndatumuremyi. I'm a managing director for a logistic company. We are specialized in customs clearance. My question will be addressed to the Minister of Infrastructure. One of the biggest challenges that we face in the customs clearance of goods is the customs network. Customs network. I think that it falls under the infrastructure. That's why I raised the question. Is there any plan or strategy to address the issue Thank you.
Thank you. Mine goes straight to the internal logistics of manufacturers. I'm coming from SDI. We produce and sell alcoholic beverages. Mine is concerning the local transportation. After we produce, we have to transport the products to consumers and other business partners. While we are focusing mainly on international logistics, but locally we are facing heavy losses, like you can hire a truck and you park the items that is requested on market, but they keep stopping you, and you can even spend 3 or 4 days before reaching to your final destination. This is really serious because it affects the business itself, it affects consumers, and end of the time, it affects the whole of the logistic. I'm asking this to the one representing the government. What are they planning? Do they see what we are facing into this business? Can we think again the local logistic and how we are really being affected? Thank you.
Thank you so much for the contributions. Of course, this it's a good session where you also get feedback from the audience that is in the sector, which is very good. So I will take some of the questions to, let's say, government institutions. I have challenges. Challenges are very good so that we can improve, especially when the last question is really a very, very good challenge that everyone is seeing, but there's something that was done that I'm going to mention. So for Lucina Thomas, from also our Ministry of Infrastructure, that's true that you mentioned very well and you were right, that we have several platforms where you can have e-trade, e-commerce, but the consolidation has been an issue. You see where our country came from. So, and you understand that you start with the kind of liberalization, so that at least you have something available. Then after getting something, now you move to regulation. You know, if you want, for instance, you remember when we started with this cashless payment, and you give example because I'm coming from public, let's say, transport. Remember when you started with the cashless payment, a cashless payment using tap and go. So currently we have 2 companies. As you might, maybe some of you are using the public transport, but still having a very small issue of, it's an issue of interoperability. But at least, you know, if I have someone from, let's say, AC Group, another one is from Centrica, we can have both 2 people there. So that when you to load your money on the card, at least you have someone to load your money. But currently, if we would have started by saying you have to have interoperable systems. You might have killed, let's say, the sector. But now we're moving to let's say, to interoperability, to make sure whenever I have my Visa card, like in Singapore, you can have your mobile, you can have your e-wallet, you can have your Visa card, you can have your, let's say, card, whatever, and you can move. So I think it's also the same in e-trade. You have several, let's say, platforms. Now we are moving to consolidation. To make sure whenever you want a product, you go to, for instance, on the platform, you're able to see a product. You know, you want coffee, you want tea, you want everything. You can be able to see all products on, let's say, on integrated platforms. It's purely maybe a question of the Minister of ICT, but maybe in the next session I shall be able to share where we are with that, let's say, consolidation. But where we started from and where we are, it's good. Now we can move to the next step of, let's say, of integration. so that we have interoperable, let's say, systems. So regarding to some more skills which we are lacking, for instance, in water transport, we don't have, let's say, engineers, interlink roads, terminals, maritime schools, and so on. Let me maybe talk about the water transport. We have been thinking that we are interlinked, as Dr. Patrick said, interlinked country. We used to say, let's say, land linked. We used to say land-locked country. We thought, we're not a coastal country. We don't have to invest in water transport. But we know that once we have our boats on the ocean, we know how the cost of boats, the transport on the ocean is changing. But as I said, Ethiopia has managed to control. Now we have just realized that we can invest in seafarers, in water transport professionals, even if we're not a coastal country. Then we can use the skills on our inland water transport. We've got Lake Kivu, which is a big water body, but also export the skills to other countries where people are losing lives in Lake Victoria, in the Congo River, everywhere. We can export those skills there. So I think now it's good that we know that there is an opportunity. So that's what we're working on. As I said, we came from far, but we have achieved a lot. So we shall keep improving, but also that opportunity, those are new opportunities which are, let's say, emerging, water transport and so on. The terminals. It would have maybe not, we have a lot of ambitions. Sometimes our financial capabilities don't allow us to invest in everything. But as you might be aware, for instance, we're now developing the Nyabugogo, improving to a modern terminal where we can have like a similar facility as the air transport. We have waiting areas. Just people can go and wait there. They buy the ticket. They know from the screens in the room. They know that the bus is coming this time. People don't have to go and stay, let's say, at Nyabugogo. You're leaving Kamuga, you're going to Nyabugogo, and you're gonna wait, for instance, in let's say during Christmas days. Some people just go to Nyabugogo. They get there. The tickets are no longer there. They're finished. They have to wait like till tomorrow. So now the new one, you shall be able to check if there is a ticket to Ngororero to Rusizi. So I think the key challenge is the financial means. Otherwise, we have good plans. So we shall keep, let's say, working on that. The safety, as you know, we're investing a lot. We've invested a lot in air transport safety because we know that whenever there is an incident, there is an accident, it will kill our industry. Now, we are now investing in safety for road transport. It is still an issue, but we are working on it. So it's a matter of prioritization. Otherwise, you have good plans. But also when you see now the fleet, the traffic is not challenging. You can just drive whatever you want. People, they don't even know that when they're using dual carriageway, they have 2 lanes. They have to keep their, let's say, their left side. They just keep driving in, let's say, like this, like a motorcycle. So we need to educate our people. That's why now I've undertaken an era of educating our people, not punishing them, just educating people. They know how to use our roads and so on. So we're working on that, but thank you for the feedback. So for the benefit of time, let me move to the next question. But we do appreciate your interventions. So we need to fast track also the plans you are having. For junk road, customs clearance, I think it's also the question. The answer is the same. There is where we came from. There is where we are. And also we have a target. At least we have managed to reduce, let's say, we have managed to put in place that system where you can, even if there is some congestion, even we used to have congestion when, for instance, we are declaring our, let's say, immovable asset tax. When you wait till the last minute, there is a congestion. So now the next step is as we also improve from 3G to 4G. Now we're going to 5G. We expect to have a big improvement because our country has invested a lot in the use of ICT to make everything is simple. But let's say the available infrastructure was not it's not yet let's say proportional to the need to the users. But that's why we keep investing in internet. I think very soon, once we start having the 5G, also the system will work more better. That's what I can say in this. But that is a very good feedback that we can share with also with our stakeholders, be Minister of ICT, the Rwanda Revenue Authority, and so on, so that we keep improving, to provide, let's say, adequate infrastructure. So for local transportation, which is also a very big challenge, that started when we started facing the congestions in our city, the congestion. We have some key bottlenecks in our city. That's why we're now trying to invest in road infrastructure. You might have heard, for instance, that is very common in the city of Kigali, where people can even wait 3 hours. When there is a VIP delegation, you can even wait even like 8 hours. That is a very big issue we are having, but we are investing a lot in infrastructure. You might have heard about the Kigali Ring Road. We believe that once Kigali Ring Road is in place, we no longer have to stop some trucks. But that is an issue that is being considered. But also the investment in traffic management, it's also very important. You see, we do construct some roads, alternative roads. But we see just people are just queuing in the road. For instance, I want to leave Remera to Nyabugogo. People, they just keep the Remera, Rwandex, Kanogo, then to Nyabugogo. Why, if you are coming from Nyanza, why can't you use the Rebero, you go to Nyamirambo, you climb to Norvege, then you go down, you go wherever you want. So, we have recently completed the road Bugesera Nyanza. Whenever I drive through that road, there is no car, and the people just go and stuck in congestion between Kigali and Muhanga. While where you used to use, for instance, 45 1 hour, but you don't use the alternative route, a very good road from Bugesera, Kibugabuga towards south. So it's a matter also of that information, availability of information, but also educating our people so that they can be skilled enough to compare. At least they have information, they know where they can go to minimize, let's say, the vehicle parking cost and so on. Thank you so much. I think I've tried to answer the questions, but that's a good feedback.
Moderator, if I may, my colleague from Rwanda asked a very good question, and I thought I should maybe try to answer it as well. So there's a platform, a similar platform that is going to answer all the questions that you raised. Unfortunately, it's not coming from the government, but from the private sector. So the company I'm representing has developed a platform called Kazi. The platform is going to link all the players in the sector, transporters, Rwandair, Prime, freight forwarders, with the customers. So currently the challenge is now to introduce both Rwanda revenue systems, connecting them to the platform, because we want to connect RRA, TRA, and Kenyan authority as well, because we want to serve at least the region from the beginning, and then expand to the rest of the African markets. So Kazi is coming soon. We have challenges, obviously, because for Rwanda Revenue to accept to give you access, we have a lot of requirements that we need to meet. But I just wanted to tell you that something is coming that will serve the purpose. I want to take on also the question for my colleague at the back. And this is maybe something I want also to share with other private companies in the audience. So we do have good companies. We do have good investors who make big investments on our market, producing something. But what they don't remember, or at least try to spend time on, is to actually develop their supply chain structure. So they believe, okay, I have a product and I have a raw material supplier. I have machines and I have a hole where I can actually put my machine and start to produce. But in the end, it requires time to actually sit, understand the product from your raw material supplier, your packaging, your distribution plan, like he just mentioned. Let's say they are struggling to distribute during the day. Based on different research, let's take one of the largest markets in the world. US, when you look in the US, most of the distributions, they move at night. And there is a reason why they move at night. It's because they probably did the market research survey. They understood when is the right time to actually distribute. They understood that they need to have different stock points in the regions, and they actually link them during the night. Because if you want to do it during the day, and you know already that during the day it's going to be difficult, then this is where professionals and skilled people in our industry actually now understand and design a proper supply chain structure for that specific company. So I wanted to insist on that, because in most cases we cannot always rely on the government. We have a really government that is really trying their best, and then like our friend said, we even have these secondary roads, but not many of us know that those secondary roads exist. But I think it's also where the CILT comes in, the professional body, to actually work hand in hand with the government to increase the awareness of all these projects and these ideas that the government is putting in place, so that actually you can take advantage of that. So, and this is also, I wanted moderator to touch base on this, because this is what CILT is trying to achieve. We're trying to create a community for all the professionals in our sector to actually meet regularly, like today. One of the activities, the round table, which will be happening more regularly, like once in 2 months, where we sit and we debate on different topics. Today, I think we invited Minefra. Next time, we'll invite Rwanda Revenue so that Claude can answer again these questions in terms of the system, and so on and so on. So I really want to invite also the professionals here to also encourage Audrey and all the C-suite levels in the audience. Let's encourage and be the ambassadors. Invite our colleagues to actually be even recognized. What CILT is doing, I think most of the time when we hear about trainings, about professional bodies, we link it with money, with budget. And it's not actually that expensive. At CLT, we have, I think, drivers training, CPDs that actually takes 1 day. They're trained, and when you look at the cost, it's almost nothing based to what, to the value addition that those drivers will add later on. So we have what we call certification, where we certify existing professionals. So we want to give credibility to our existing professionals, at least their experience. We want to increase the standard, because when you certify, you have a global recognition for your experience and what you have achieved so far, but you also get a chance to increase your standards, as well as the company you work for standards. So I think we want to encourage, most of you are here and who are not certified yet, please join. We want to hear your voice. We want you to contribute. We want you to join the workforce that is behind CILT, to make sure that we build a better sector. Thank you.
I'd say our table is now adjourned. Thank you very much, and MC, over to you.
I just wanted to ask two people in the audience to share a few words. I have people from AGL, we have DHL, and we have Value Training Center. I wanted to ask AGL to share one challenge they're currently facing, and one added value they have seen from what the government is doing so far in terms of infrastructure, anything, any support from the government. Those two questions for AGL and DHL. And I wanted to ask Value Training Center to actually say or share what are they offering to the current market today, and where can we find them?
Thank you so much for the opportunity. You will allow me to be seated. Okay.
It's okay.
I really appreciate the initiative from CLT to organize the roundtable. A round of applause for them. So we've realized that some industries, they have been doing so for several years to tackle different challenges, possibilities, and how to overcome some of the general challenges that we face on a daily basis. So sometimes you face a challenge in an industry and you feel like you are alone, like the system that they mentioned, some of the platforms that we didn't know that they exist. But if there is an opportunity like this one, we learn a lot. And from it, we know how to go forward on our daily basis, responsibility, and providing solutions. So from AGL, I will start with the solutions and what the government have been doing so far to facilitate the industry. So there's a lot that Rwanda have achieved as a country, and especially in logistic and transport industry. If we go back years, some of us were like, it's a landlocked country, but we are no longer a landlocked country because we are linked from the EAC. EAC itself, it gives us an opportunity to have that access to maritime, air, and the road transport. Yes, we are not where we want to be, but it's a work in progress. And that's where we must support each other as the professionals and the one like providing solutions on a daily basis. So we cannot rely on the government itself to deliver the solution. That's why we have people in the air industry, people in land transport, people in the warehousing, like to make sure that the supply chain delivers the requirement. We cannot work as a sole man. We have to work as a team. We need the trackers. We need the custom clearance personnel or people in that area. We need people in the warehousing. We need the manufacturers. We need the drivers so that the service is delivered accordingly. So, like some of the solutions we've been trying to contribute on top of what the government is doing is to make sure that, yes, there is a gap in a certain areas, but how can we come in and provide that solution? Probably it's not yet delivered, as Patrick have mentioned, like the different solutions. Right now in AGL, we are providing the pack house solution that we still have a challenge on a Rwandan market to have the cold chain solution for perishables and the high-end value commodities. And if we have managed to have them, how are they going to get safely to the destination where we're exporting? If we are talking about minerals that are being produced from Rwandan market, how are they getting to the end users? Because they must be refined and be delivered in a good quality. So how do we do that? We have developed a track devices that helps the manufacturers to have a traceability of your cargo from origin to destination. And we cannot rely fully on the government to provide those solutions. Yes, they are helping in between, but ourselves, what are we trying to provide? So, as some of the challenges, so that I don't take much of the time, there's a lot that we are facing that can be advocated to. There's a current regulations that KPA has published in terms of tariffs that is going to highly affect the Rwandan market, because yes, we are still developing, and the means for Rwandan to, on the affordability of transport and the port facilities is still a challenge. I know we have KPA, we have TPA. How is Rwanda reaching out to them in terms of the congestion that we are facing on a daily basis? What solution can we put in place for the Rwandan consignment? And what can be done so that the cost is also minimized? Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, let me take this opportunity to appreciate CLT for organizing this. It's very important that we get this chance to meet as different players from different industries to sit and see how we can provide solutions to the problems we are facing. From DHL perspective, I think we are positioning ourselves in a way that we can best serve the country. If you look at where the country is heading, if you look at the key contributors in the industry and the GDP, services one. So what we are doing, is to see that we are staying current, relevant to the business, and also being supportive to different sectors in terms of growth and also supporting the economy. There's a slogan that we have, it always says, think global, act locally. That means have the global ideas, different key elements, but customize them to fit the local market. The way it is written, is there a way we can make it simpler for the benefit of the economy? So basically, for us, we're here to venture into different aspects. Someone mentioned about e-commerce. We're there to support the startups, the SMEs, to see how their products can reach to the international market, giving them, capacitating them in terms of basic skills, what do I need to put my product on the international market? How can I, what best way to put this product, and how can I make it of a standard to compete with the product from different other countries? So basically we are, as the business keeps changing, those dynamism, that's where we are as well, to ensure that we stay current and we stay supportive. If we may take you back from the history of some like 5 years, not even 2019, 2020, when COVID was coming in. I think we all remember what we went through. Everything was grounded. But we supported government in terms of getting the PPEs, masks, all the pharmaceutical products, vaccines, because it was only DHL cargo flight that was coming in. I think people from Rwanda remember that situation. It was terrible. But we stayed current in the situation to support the economy, to support the country, to ensure that those people who are sick in different hospitals are able to get the medicines, and also those who need the PPEs are available on time. So that's how we keep evolving depending on the situation and see how we can intervene to provide solutions. Challenges, like any other operator, we have same challenges or different depending on the sector, but what I can highlight that we are still facing, which I like the panelists also tackled, is about digitalization and the automation of data. We're still facing a lot of manual work from the stakeholders. The goods arrive. I always get these questions from our customers. The shipment took 2 days to arrive in the country, but the process of customs clearance takes 5 days. It is a common question. I think some of my customers here, they have asked that question. So you have to go here, do this, go here, do this, go here, do this, go here, do this. So I think as professionals in the industry, we need to advocate for this. We should have digitalization in place, understand what is expected to go into customs process before the goods arrive. Once the goods arrive, just complete the formalities, deliver to the customer same day. There is also another challenge of harmonizing tariff standards. We call it de minimis values. We are saying that we're in the East African umbrella, but if you look at the de minimis value for a shipment going to Kenya, shipment going to Tanzania, shipment coming here, shipment going to Uganda, they're having different de minimis value for it to attract customs duties. So there's a lot to harmonize, and I think, as I said, the next time when you're bringing someone from Rwanda Revenue, I think it will be the right person to ask how far are you in terms of harmonizing this, automating data, making sure that the customs process are simplified. So basically that's the challenge. I'm sure it's common, but we are moving forward as we keep advocating for it, we have solutions. Thank you.
I normally want to talk when I'm standing up for visibility purposes, because we are talking of supply chain. When we are in supply chain, we talk of visibility. You have to be seen talking or to see where the goods are coming from. Before I get into the Value Training Center, I wanted also to comment on 1 or 2 issues, and then I get into that. I will try to be very fast, yes. Because what I'm going to be talking about is actually emanating from what they've been discussing about. The government was actually talking about the issues to do with the infrastructure. Infrastructure in the logistics and supply chain. A lot of people, as we are seated here, when we talk about logistics, we think we just are talking about where are we going to be buying things, where are they stocked, the warehouse, and we talk about procurement and even the transport that are moving. But there is issues to do with infrastructure. Infrastructure, we are actually talking about the roads he mentioned, the houses he mentioned, even the buildings like this building that we are in here today. Because there is what is called transport planning and transport and society. What I'm talking about is courses that we actually have in CILT. So when we talk about transport planning, we are actually talking about three things. We are talking about accessibility, mobility, and land use. Please take this home. Accessibility, mobility, and land use. What are we saying? We are saying when we are moving goods, because we just want to jump into moving goods, but we need to understand that instead of going where we want to go, why can't we have that particular infrastructure to come where we are? An example is this stadium that we are having here. Instead of going to Europe to get the stadium, because when we are going to Europe, when we are going to wherever these types of stadiums are, we are actually moving. But what we want is to reduce mobility and to increase accessibility by using the land that we have. Why in Rwanda? Because we are a country of 1,000 hills, we don't have the land. So we need to minimize to maximize the land that we have in terms of using it. So what are we going to be doing? Are we going to increase the roads? Are we going to increase the vehicles? Is that the solution? It is not. Where are we going to when we are moving? Are we going to the hospital? Are we going to the school? Why can't we build a school closer as a solution? So this is why we are coming in as CILT and many more other solutions that we actually have. Look at the issues to do with the drivers that we have been talking about when we talk about transport and society. We are talking about the relationship between people and transport. What are our motorcycle drivers doing in the roads? Are they relating well with the community, which are the customers? We have those courses as CPDs for the motorcycle drivers. We have courses for the drivers. We also have the soft skills courses like customer service for the drivers. Also the ethics. There is another issue, an elephant in the house that is called ethics. Ethics is just about what is ought to be done and what ought not to be done. How are you going to be doing whatever you are doing? Are you doing the right thing? Are you doing the right thing? We know that in logistics we need to move the right goods from the right place to the right place at the right time, at the right value as well. But are we able to be doing, are we doing the right thing? Okay, now, that being said, at CILT, now we are having Value Training Center is the only accredited center. We have courses that cut across all the areas of supply chain, logistics, procurement. Thank you. Logistics, procurement, and transport. So we have levels, 5 levels. The first levels, level 2, third level, which is level 3, level 4, and level 5. Level 1, level 2, and level 3 are certificates. Then level 4 is a diploma, but these are international certificates, international diploma, and level 5 is advanced diploma. Now, level 5 is actually talking about strategic issues in the logistics and transport sector. But level 4 is one of the main product of the CILT. It has more than 25 modules. But these modules, they are not generic per se. What we say is, for example, if we are having a module like project management, we then bring the concept into Rwanda because we don't want to do what they are doing in Europe because we are in Rwanda. We want to solve the problems that we have here. So the problems that we have here are the ones that we are going to then tailor-make the courses towards solving those problems. Then that differentiates the CILT with other academic institutions. Of course, they are all good, but it is also good that after the academic learning, you then come for a professional course like CILT. Now, what do we do with people in terms of recruitment? For those that are coming straight, we have different types of people, and they are all catered for. So, for example, people do not have the other qualifications like the secondary school qualifications that we have here in Rwanda. Sorry, I may not know them specifically. I am from Zimbabwe. So in Zimbabwe we have what is called secondary school up to Form 6. But here we also have secondary 6. Sibia? Yes, secondary 6. And then those people with secondary 6 can actually start from level 2. But we also have people without the secondary education qualifications. They can then start in level 1. So we also have people that have got the university qualifications, like the first degree. They can start on level 3. And then we have people with master's level. They will start at level 4. So currently, for those that are in the government and for those that are holding different posts within their companies, and they've experience, you can see the Florence and the other administrative staff to then talk to them about recruitment, how you can then join. But the truth is, the moment you join and you come, we move together, you will then realize that there is a difference between the manager and the leader. Managers and leaders are different. Leaders are right, and then managers are just but things. What do we mean? Managers, they do things right, while leaders will be doing the right things. So what we want is to do the right things. And when we do the right things, we will be solving the right problem with the right solution. I thank you.
I think we will wrap up, close our first of its kind logistics roundtable, which I believe you've enjoyed. Did you? Was it informative? Should we run more of these? Please, thank you. Before I hand over to the president of CLT Rwanda to give closing remark, I wanted to show you the secretariat of CLT. Oh, she's out. Maybe you can do it later, because I know people will need to know how to interface with CLT at a later stage. Can we have the president giving his closing remarks? Thank you.
Rakoze cyane Gilbert. Nagira ngo mbashimire mwese mwafashe umwanya wanyu wo kuza kwifatanya natwe muri round table ya mbere. Nagira ngo nanabasabe, iki ni igikorwa kizajya kiba buri mezi abiri, ariko topics zo kuganirwaho zigomba kuva muri twebwe. Hari platform dufite duhuriraho twese, abatayiriho baza kwegera secretariat. Florence bari bakuze, maybe wahaguruka kugira ngo batakuze bakumenye. Florence ni executive secretary wa CILT, ni uraninga day to day operations, afatanyije na Andy afatanyije na Fanny ndetse na vice president wacu wafasha nawe rimwe na rimwe yabonye akanya. So abashaka kujoininga the platform, please mwasaba Florence akabashyiraho kugira ngo tubashe gusangira ibitekerezo no gusharinga izo challenges tugira munsi ku wundi, ari nazo zivamo topics n'abantu tugomba gutumira kugira ngo baze tuganire kuri izo challenges, tubagezeho potential solutions nk'aba expert muri field cyangwa ababibamo umunsi ku wundi, nabo batugezeho potential solutions. Cyane cyane government bifite ibikorwa byinshi bitandukanye, naho idukeneye ariko ugasanga harimo ikibazo cyo guhuza no kumenya aho dukomanga cyangwa n'uburyo twagenda dufashanya. So muri izi gahunda tumakinga sure ko dutumiye government kugira ngo tubashe kumenya uburyo twuzuzanya. Akaba ari nimwe mu mpamvu z'iki kiganiro kugira ngo turebe uburyo twese hamwe tujyana sector yacu imbere kandi dufatanyije. So ndabashimiye cyane rero, naho mu mezi abiri ari imbere. Uyu munsi twari dufite limited invitation, ariko ubutaha tuzareba uburyo tutabirimita kugira ngo tubashe kuganira. Si ngombwa ko tutegereza ziriya conferences, international conferences, big conferences, kandi dushobora gushaka umwanya nk'uyu nguyu tukaganira kandi tugashyira hamwe. So murakoze cyane, ndabashimiye, naho utaha.
Mwongere mushimire cyane aba panelists bacu.